So we're at Windsor, at the Windsor Salt Mine, with workers who are represented by Unifor, Local 1959, who've been on strike since February 17th.
Correct.
And I'm speaking with Dario Zuech, who is the production rep for the bargaining committee. So thanks for joining me today. In April 2021, Windsor Salt was bought by the current owners of the company, so Stone Canyon Industries Holding Limited, Demetree and Associates.
Correct.
A year later, it asked for and was approved to expand production on land under Malden Park by the City Council, City of Windsor.
Okay.
This is the first round of negotiations under Stone Canyon Industries, Demetree and Associates. So can you talk about maybe how things have changed in the recent years in the facility and why workers are on strike today?
Over the 2 years of Stone Canyon taking over, we've started noticing the dwindling of the workforce. It seems like a lot of the positions are being phased out by attrition here as the retirees move on here. Just seems like a lot of different philosophies as far as even when it came to bargaining. First round of bargaining here, that they brought in a third-party lawyer for the bargaining. Bargaining has always historically been with their chief negotiator, who was tied in with the corporation. But this year they came in with a third-party negotiator, and like I said, and then with their extreme demands, he came to the table with those demands.
So can you talk a little bit about what those demands were that they put on the table?
Yeah, there were some big demands as far as giving them the flexibility as far as being able to contract our work out. Not only from a maintenance standpoint, but obviously the production of any stuff that's produced at the facility, as well as any of the shipping of the products off the facility. Being able to give them that flexibility to come in, essentially replace our current workforce if they wanted to with contract workers to do the work.
Okay.
That's one of their main things. I mean, there was obviously they also affecting seniority rights. There was some couple things to me that were questionable with that we have language in health and safety that was already put in the contract quite a few years ago, and things of that nature.
Okay. So Windsor Salt has two operations, right? This mine here, which is called the Ojibway Mine facility.
Correct.
And that's where rock salt is harvested, and as you mentioned kind of before the interview, that's for roads and that kind of thing.
Absolutely, yes.
And then the evaporative site, which produces food grade salt and has been doing so since 1893.
Correct, yeah.
So can you tell us kind of how many workers do work in the facilities? You mentioned that there's different facilities and what kind of jobs
collectively with both bargaining units, plus there's a clerical workers with Local 240 from Unifor. Okay. The collectively is approximately about 250 workers here. There's 170 here, and there's about 10 at 240, and then the remainder are at the evaporation plant.
Okay, so that evaporation plant is much smaller then?
Correct. Yes, the evaporation plant. Everything's done on surface. As us, obviously, the mine is underground. We do our conventional mine underground and bring the salt up to surface. They have a different system of putting salt from underground, but they don't have actually physical workers that go underground to extract the salt.
Okay, so when they gave that expansion to be able to mine more under Malden Park and that kind of thing, do you know how that?
So the Malden Park, that's more to deal with the evaporation plant, and that's for the salt wells. Okay. That's for them to eject the brine from underground and process that. Okay. We in 2014 went into negotiations here, and the company had promised us approximately $300 million to make an expansion here at the Ojibway, which we since 14 started more like in 2017 to the current time. We drove an additional ramp that went down another 550 feet. Now we're at a 1450 level, and there's another mine underneath it, and we've started mining that out. So our workers drove that ramp. We were slated through the government. We were an essential service during the pandemic, so we were here day in, day out to drive that ramp. That ramp was driven by our guys here. We never contracted that work out. Our guys did that in-house. That's part of their investment. I mean, there was a trade-off there in negotiations 2014 for that investment. But I mean, now that ramp is up and running, and they are producing from both levels. So their plan is to phase out the current level at 975 level and go down to the 14 level, and the company's estimating that the salt reserves there are endless, isn't at least minimum another 30 years plus. So for the future of this facility. So.
Right. So you kind of mentioned that there was a trade-off.
Yeah. So in 2014, it was the company which I feel gave concessions, and we lost our defined benefit pension. We went to a defined contribution, but the trade-off was to do the investment and to the longevity of this facility. So there was a trade-off there, and that's why we're standing here today. As far as we've given our concessions, and now it's our turn. Like I said, we've worked through the pandemic. We're in here day in, day out to keep this facility afloat, and some of their demands on the table are just unacceptable from anyone's standpoint.
So what were some of the things that you learned maybe coming out of the pandemic that should be changed for sure because of that experience during the pandemic?
Well, that was tough because there was obviously there was people at home based on your career that you had, but here we had to come in, and there was a lot of uncertainty. And there was people that obviously, there was uncertainty throughout the world, right? So there was people that may have had personal issues or health issues that weren't able to come into work, and there was guys in here that really stepped up to the plate. The amount of guys doing extra hours, doing extra work just to keep this place going and keep this place operating I could not believe the amount of hours that some of the individuals were putting into this facility just to keep everything running, because you need to go through the mining cycle. You need certain people to be doing certain jobs to be able to keep the process going, right? So there's people working endless overtime hours either during the week or during the weekends and stuff, and a lot of guys are living in here doing their part to keep this place going. So
the salt that's produced here and also at the other place, who's what country, or is it all done for Canada?
As far as our biggest markets here, I can speak primarily more from this facility in Ojibway. Our biggest markets are the Greater Toronto area, looking into the Ottawa area. You're going to look into Wisconsin, Chicago. Those are our biggest markets. As far as everything, for the most part, is shipped there by vessel.
Okay.
That we do that during the obviously warmer times of the year. There's a lot of trucking that comes in and out of here from the Greater Essex County area, as well as the London and Snowbelt area as well, right? So they come in here on a daily basis to pick up their loads depending on their demand and their needs, right?
So how can people come and support?
Well, we're going to be here standing strong. There's nobody moving from this site anytime soon. The company knows we're ready and willing to get back to that table. There's nothing stopping us from getting back to that table, and we hope that the message is loud and clear that we're here, we mean business, and everyone wants to cooperate and come to a fair collective agreement for everybody. It can't. The collective bargaining is it's two parties. Collective bargaining doesn't work when you're ruling with an iron fist. Everyone's got to be flexible, and there didn't seem that there was much flexibility from the company standpoint. And hopefully, showing them with this labor dispute, showing them that we mean business, that it's going to change their mindset, and they're hopefully going to come back with and have some different options on the table, and more flexibility for everybody to be able to negotiate a fair collective agreement.
Awesome. Well, thanks very much for joining me.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming here. Thank you.